Welcome to Shut Up and Play Your Guitar TV. I'm here with internationally acclaimed jazz musician, educator, inventor and general mad scientist, Mr. Jonathan Crossley. Jonathan, how are you doing? Thank you for seeing us today.
Pleasure.
Right. Jonathan, we need to ask, what made you want to start playing guitar in the first place?
I've been playing guitar 31 years now, and so I started when I was 6, and I'd already been harassing my dad for about a year since I was about 4 or 5 to start guitar lessons.
Alright. And if you don't mind me asking, what sort of music were you playing then?
Strangely enough, I mean, my dad was a trained classical singer, choral singer, and so he immediately sourced a proper classical teacher, and I started from day one.
Oh my word.
Like, day one went to lessons and started to learn to read. And, I mean, the guitar was still bigger than me, so I couldn't really see the neck, which probably had some advantages because I had to learn it by imagining what it looked like.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, who were your early guitar heroes, and who were your major influences to the player you are today?
You know, it's funny. I think I'm kind of like an anti-guitarist in a way.
Stop the tape. We can't interview this man anymore.
No, I'm kind of an anti-guitarist in the sense that I just like the music, and the way it went to guitar was basically the fact that there was one lying around the house, and I mean, I suppose if it had been piano, then maybe it might have. So not that I'm saying I love playing guitar, but and I don't play anything else. But it was there, and my dad loved music and played music all the time. So my exposure to music was enormous. Like my dad played me everything from, like, when I was 6. You know, I remember lying down listening to Beethoven, Bach, John Vangelis, yes. John Denver, guitar, you know, classical guitars like Segovia and stuff. So the influences were quite wide.
Well, I remember personally seeing you for the first time doing a duet with Johnny Faree at David Hewitt's memorial concert. That was the first time I watched you play.
Right.
And which brings us to the late great Johnny Faree, who was one of your great mentors.
Yeah, of course. I did 14 years of classical tuition before I went to university, and then I did like an honours degree in classical guitar, and then I decided to take a master's in jazz. And Paul Hammer wisely said, pianist, you know, he wisely said to me, get to Johnny Faree, and I spent a good few years with Johnny. My lessons were eventually, they were about 4 hours long. I had to beg to leave, which was amazing. They were Friday afternoon at 1, and I was like, I had to ask Johnny at 5, please, can I just go home? I was like, shattered. So he wouldn't stop. So I had kind of a really unique time with him, you know.
Jeez. And then this brings me to the player that you've become today.
Yeah. Where
we see this machine to the side of you. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, the story of the machine is maybe less bizarre than the machine looks. I had a project called Jonathan Crossley Electric Band, which was a funk project, which ran from about 2006. I think I decided to take a break in 2010 and start working on this. And one of the things that's really cool about classical guitar, right, is that with a slight shift of hand position, you can change the color of the sound from, you know, something sonorous and beautiful and, you know, very moving to something quite aggressive and angry, just by shifting the hand around. And the thing that always bugged me about electric guitar is that you don't have that level of tonal control.
All right.
Okay, I find in general the electric guitar is less emotionally dynamic than the classical guitar or acoustic guitar. And that's just a factor of the technique, and it frustrated me. So I found myself in the funk project, like, spending a lot of time changing effects parameters to try and get this kind of microcontrol over the tone that I remember from all the years of classical playing. So I was on the floor all the time twiddling knobs. Eventually, like, I remember some concerts where I just like spent the entire concert on my haunches on the floor while the rest of the band played. And I thought, okay, this is a bit ridiculous. And then I went about trying to find different ways of leveraging control from the body. So the first thing was very simple, which was, with the classical guitar, everything's there.
Yes.
So, yes, so everything's there. What I did was, this is just a, I mean, it's just a real, you know, hardcore, even is. It's not an expensive guitar at all. And I got the guitar and we chopped a massive hole in the back with the Dremel blade. So there's a big square gutted hole in the back. We took the back off, and then it was just a matter of working with Marshall Music to Stuart Goodwin there was kind enough to take things on Apro and open them up, which I don't think the owners of Marshall Music know about.
We have no idea what he's talking about. If you're out there and you deal with Marshall Music, this is not standard practice.
No, it's not standard practice at all. And so I mean, it was just to unscrew the back. I mean, I didn't actually even plug the units in.
Yeah.
Just unscrewed the back and then made note of like the size of the circuit board and the layout. And then through working through a bunch of different effects, worked out what was possible to get into this. I knew I wanted 3 signal paths, so this guitar has 3 outputs to 3 amplifiers. So I needed a signal splitter and a variety of things. And basically, this is all that I could get into it. Before I ran out of space, the back is taped up with duct tape. I'm not going to show you the back because it's luminous green duct tape.
That is amazing.
Which is just random. But basically, you can't get into this thing. It's just full of wires. I'm kind of a little bit terrified if something would break because I have no idea how I'd fix it. There's hundreds and hundreds of wires in the thing, and then all the circuits are hot wired in the open position, so the power's always on, and they're all directly connected to each other with different cables. And then there's kind of 7 or 8 power leads running DC supply into the guitar. So the idea with that was to bring the effects parameters right near my hand so I could quickly change things instead of sitting on my haunches.
Yes.
That was the main idea with the guitar, but then it got a bit crazier.
Well, bit crazier is an understatement. We actually have a whole new level of crazy right here with the control suit, and we've seen some pictures on the Shut Up and Play Your Guitar website. Also put some links on the YouTube clip for this. But can you tell us a bit more about the control suit?
Yeah, the suit was a pragmatic ending to a long like sequence of research explorations. I wanted to try and find a way to then not even have to let go of the guitar, so I could continue playing and then adjust parameters. So the guitar was the first step. That brought all these controls very close, but then I was like, okay, but I still have to let go of the guitar, and so now I wanted a way to actually physically change leverage parameters without touching. So we tried things like ribbon potentiometers. So I had a ribbon potentiometer tracked to the neck at one stage, so when you could just raise your thumb up and I could change effects parameters by moving my thumb as I played. Found that it wasn't as effective as I wanted. We tried sewing flex potentiometers into clothing, so that when you flex potentiometer, it increases resistance or decreases it depending on how you bend your arm.
Yes.
That was also cool. Imogen Heap's actually done some of that stuff, but I found it just to be very pricey and a bit finicky. I couldn't control the values close enough. Even investigated the possibility of mapping my heart rate and then slowing my heart rate up and down by doing various exercises and mapping that to a MIDI value. That proved to be more difficult, and you had the risk of passing out if you held your breath too long. So then one day I didn't know what to do. Then one day I stumbled across an old Sound & Sound article, and this is called the Gypsy MIDI suit. It was originally designed, it was one of the early motion capture suits, and then it's for animation, etc. And then it was mapped out with this company, Gypsy MIDI, or Sonolog they were called, and was then wired to a Max MSP program, so it went through a Macintosh computer and you could assign the values. It's got what are called continuous controllers. I mean, they're quite exposed now because I've had to rewire it, but they're just continuous pots which generate values, and then they go through a circuit board at the back. Only difference is we wanted to be completely. I wanted to still be a guitar, so I didn't want any computers.
Yes.
I just think I don't like the idea of laptops, so it's all computer free. It has 54 controllers in total on it. And so they're kind of like, it's easy to explain, like there's three on the hand, so it's your wrist up and down movement, your wrist side to side movement, and your wrist roll. So that generates 3 possibilities there. So you basically got 3 knobs in your hand, and what's cool is then if you have the guitar, if you're playing guitar, you can still bend the wrist. So I can change effects parameters while playing, or by doing this.
What do you map them to, for example? Is there any sort of pitch or delay time or?
No, you can map them to. The cool thing is you can map them to anything. The mapping process is like something that's ongoing as you explore. And right now, I've got a bit crusher, so I've got clock speed on this wrist. This value, which is shoulder roll, is mapped to clock frequency. This is mapped to the digital whammy up to 2 octaves, but then there's multiple mapping going on. So this point is the digitic whammy, but at other points it's also, this is the pitch bend on the bit crusher, and then it's also delayed tempo on another unit, and synthesizers and frequencies on the Line 6 M13
And you mentioned 3 signal paths. So
yeah, so there's 3 amps. So they all sound quite distinct and different. So the sound of the guitar is like, it's really big, you know. I mean, it's a really full sound. But also, you know, there's things like one of the signal parts has a ring modulator, one has an envelope filter, one has a synth. So when you play one note, you're effectively getting like, you know, maybe 1 guitar sound, 1 modulated sound, and 1 analog synth.
Alright.
And they all sound different, and they can be in different pitches depending on what the suit's setting. So you could play a C on the guitar, it'll come out as a C on the guitar amp, but on the one amp it'll come out as an F, and so you gotta, like when you're improvising, you gotta keep cognizance of the pitch and what's going on all around it all the time.
And in terms of monitoring that on stage, I mean, you're then needing all 3 feeds so you can hear what you're doing.
Yeah,
in addition to the
take 3 amps, you know. that's the easiest way to guarantee a good setup. I mean, when I toured Europe in November, then obviously it was impossible to haul 3 amps over. I have an amp over there, so a little PB Classic 30, which I miss. And then I just took 2 amp sims. So I just took 2 Line 6 Jelly Beans.
Beautiful.
And just made sure that at every concert venue and festival there was, I had 3 monitors. So I would stand, my rig would be in front of me, and I'd have 1 monitor which gave me the center guitar, and then 1 monitor hard to my right and 1 monitor hard to my left.
Jeez. And the reactions from the international jazz community to...
Yeah, we had great reactions. I mean, what we're playing is kind of, you know, it's not really... I mean, years ago I used to play with Johnny, you know, trying to play something a little bit more straight ahead. I mean, we do Smells Like Teen Spirit, and like we do a version of Misty that sounds like The Exploited, and you know, so we're improvising. So maybe it's improvised music.
Yes. Maybe
technologically enabled improvised music. That's the way it's. I wouldn't necessarily call it jazz. It's not rock. It's, if anything, it's more grunge and punky when it gets rocky. But it's not. I mean, it's definitely not shredfest. It's definitely not traditional jazz either.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah. I mean, there's other things as well. The guitar also has. One of the things I experienced was the suit is really can generate some really amazing effects that are only accessible if I let go of the guitar. So you'll see me on Saturday, I'll be waving my arms around in the air and sound will be coming out. But to do that, because it's still an analog instrument, to do that you still need to be generating signals. So, and you don't necessarily want to be just only working with feedback. So it's got a toggle switch on the side. This switch in this position has the pickups routed into the entire effect system, and in this position it disengages the pickups, and it engages a microphone feed which comes through here. Okay, so then this is believe it or not, the best way to do this is a cheap ass little earphone, which is just back wired into a microphone tree. The reason for that is that, you know, I'll stick it in my mouth. I'll stick it in my mouth and then I sing through it, or make sound through it, generate sound, and then modulate the sound through the suit. And I didn't want to put an expensive mic in my mouth all the time, so I'm not worried about damaging this really crummy little headphone that I bought in Prague. So which allows me then to generate signal through the guitar system without actually playing the guitar at the same time. And then I can modulate the sounds of that with the suit.
Well guys, if you want to see this machine and arguably one of the best trios in the country in action, come through to Shut Up and Play Your Guitar, 7th March, Tanz Live Blackheath. Mr. Jonathan Crossley. Jonathan, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Guys, see you there. Ciao.